Now the scrap wood piece I have in front of me is a cutout from Lazy Susan I made for a friend. And if you want to check out that video, there's just a link in the top corner of the screen, or it'll be down in the description down below. So instead of throwing it out, I thought I should make a tray with it. So in this video, I'll show you exactly how I made this tray. So I broke out my old crosscut sled to make this build. I could have done it with the normal handsaw, but whenever I get a chance to break this out, I like breaking it out. It's one of my first few builds on my channel, so I do love this a lot. So I just had to position out the Lazy Susan to cut halfway through it, set up my saw, and then make the cuts. And with all the cuts done, I'm left with these triangular, rectangular, circular shapes. I don't know what they're called, but they're shapes. Now it made this sort of a diamond shape if you put them all together on their sides, so I was just playing around with the grading pattern until I got a good grading pattern for this, and this was going to be the final shape I was going to make for my serving tray. Now all I gotta do is move Alfred out the way, then grab these pieces and glue them up so I can get started on the next part. Now clamping these pieces together was very tricky. I did a couple dry runs trying to see how I can clamp this, but in the future if I were to make this again, I would probably leave myself a little bit of a template. I'm using Type-On 3 for this build just because I need the strength, because I'm not really gonna get even pressure along it. So all I have to do is put the glue on the wood and then paste them together. Making sure that I have even glue spread out on all of my sides. Then once I have two pieces placed together, I'll glue up the long edge, then glue everything together to make sure I get this shape nice and square. I end up using some gaffer's tape just to hold the shape in place, and this is actually pretty good because it allowed me to put the clamps on without having the pieces slip. And in the future, I might use dowels to line everything up, but for now, I'm going to make a little clamp soup out of this and use every single clamp I have in my workshop to try and get these pieces to have even pressure on the side. And after 6 clamps, this is the monstrosity that I have. Now one of my pieces had a small little crack in it, but luckily all I have to do is fill this up with glue, put in these clamps, glue them back together, so I can get on the next step with cutting out the base for this tray. So, as a template, I thought, why not use one of my cake pans, because it's a circle and I'm tracing circles. So I'm tracing out just the half circle on this cake pan, getting a nice little shape to make sure it goes all the way to the end of the grooves. Then I take my router just to go on the edges, and after I have the edges all done, what I can do is actually hog out the middle. I decided to do everything freehand just because it's a scrap wood project, but in the future I'll definitely have a template for this build. And now it's time to hog out the middle. What I want to do is just go down one layer at first and clear that out. Then after I cleared out this one layer, I was just going to rinse and repeat the steps all over again until it got to the necessary height for this tray. Now since I was freehanding with this router, some of the edges are a little bit rowdy, so I decided to sand them down with some sandpaper. There's no point in getting perfect edges for just a scrap wood project, so sanding it down after maybe 20-30 minutes gave me these nice rounded edges, and then I just took off the burrs or the sharp edges on all the sides and tried to clear out the middle, but I gave up on that after a while. But this is actually the final tray all done. Now I'm leaving this unfinished, and if you have any suggestions for furniture oil, let me know in the comments down below. But here's my final scrap wood tray.